Hi, Ben Sobanski here with One Stop Financial Group. I'm here to discuss appraisals with you. Now, it's a common question, right? Why do we need an appraisal? And the short answer is so that a bank feels comfortable lending you the money. Sometimes it's hard to remember the sheer volume of the mortgage market here in the US, but it totals just over $12 trillion. And for reference, the stimulus checks that we sent out to individuals totaled like just less than $1 trillion, right? So we're 12 times the number of that in mortgages. And the banks need to know that the $12 trillion that they have lent out to the US citizens is covered by collateral, right? So that we avoid another crisis like we had in 2008 when the collateral didn't equal the amount of money that the banks had lent out on residential homes. Now, if the appraisal is mostly just to cover the risk of the bank, why don't the banks pay for them, right? And the short answer is that if the banks had to pay for it, they would have to cover that cost somewhere else, and it would come out of your interest rate, right? So keep in mind that the banks don't make any money if your loan doesn't close. So if banks covered the cost of interest rates, the cost of all of those appraisals on loans that didn't close would be baked into that interest rate as well. It's something to keep in mind as well if you work with a bank ever who offers to cover the cost of your appraisal up front. They're taking on that extra risk, so they're making that up somewhere. Now, the good news is that your loan officer has probably already included the cost of this appraisal in your cash to close number. So it's not like we're going to tell you got to bring 20,000 and then you pay $500 for an appraisal and you still got to bring 20,000. Right? If we tell you your cash to close is 20,000 and you pay $500 for an appraisal, you're going to bring 19,500 to the closing table. So we kind of take that cost out of there and you're not paying it twice or anything. And what does that mean for you? It truly means that you're probably going to have to get an appraisal done. There are situations where we can avoid having to get an appraisal, and they play into factors like when was the last time the house was sold? Do Fannie and Freddie Mac have data that supports the last time the house was sold versus what the market in that area has done, as well as do you have a good credit profile that also helps mitigate some of the risk? To find out if you qualify for appraisal waiver, the qualifications really start at 20% down. If you're putting 20% down before you put an offer in, it makes sense to reach out to your loan officer, say, hey, if I bought this house, can you run it to see if we would need an appraisal? And that's something that most of us can do pretty easily for you. Is there any benefit to you at all as a consumer? Like if we're just protecting the banks? Like, yeah, absolutely. It gives you the peace of mind knowing that you're making a good financial investment as well as buying somewhere for your family to live, right? If the appraisal comes in a little bit low, you can reach out to your realtor and your loan officer and figure out if we can make something make sense and still get the loan closed. If your appraisal comes in higher, congrats, it's free equity. You're closing with buying a house that's worth more than what you're paying for it. The last thing I want to add on here, and this is a common misconception I get sometimes from first-time home buyers, is that your home inspection and your appraisal are two different things. The home inspection is just for you. It's to make sure that the house, doesn't have anything wrong with it that you weren't aware of, to make sure that you're not making a bad investment. This is going to be a very detailed report that you want to keep between you and your realtor up front in the process to see if you want to proceed. Right now, us at One Stop in our group, we don't order the appraisal, have you pay for an appraisal until we're sure that you've passed your inspection period and that you want to move forward, because we don't want to be wasting any money, right? The appraisal is going to be a lot less detailed than the home inspection because it's for the bank and it's for the value. It's not for you in, what kind of work is going to need to be done to the house that you're moving into. Now, if you have any questions about this stuff, there's a lot of details about appraisals to go over. It's easier to go over in a one-on-one situation. Please feel free to reach out. My number is 586-453-2058. And as always, you can find the rest of our contact information in the notes section.